She found him drowning in a pool of black ice and darker blood, clutching 2 infant car seats like they were the only anchors keeping him tethered to a world that wanted him dead. He was fading fast, bleeding out on the cold concrete, but his hand was steady enough to aim a gun straight at her heart. They say don't look for trouble, but in New York, trouble usually finds you. She was just a delivery driver with a broken dream. He was a fallen king with a bounty on his head. One night, one wrong turn, and one impossible choice would bind them together in blood. He was the danger she should have run from, but he became the destiny she couldn't escape. Welcome back to Afro-Korean Soul Tales. Before we step into the storm, stop what you're doing and smash that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single heartbeat of the story, because trust me, you need to know what happens next. Like this video if you believe love can bloom in the darkest places, and comment survival below if you're ready to ride. Let's begin. The freezing rain had been hammering New York's industrial district for 4 relentless hours. It was the kind of November deluge that felt personal, a vindictive assault that turned the asphalt into sheets of treacherous glass and chilled you straight through the fabric of a cheap delivery jacket. Erica Hale watched the windshield wipers of her battered van lose their rhythmic battle against the storm, her breath fogging the interior glass with every exhale. The dashboard clock glowed a sickly green, 11:34 p.m. Erica's body was a map of aches. She had been on the road since 3 that afternoon, coming straight from a grueling shift of clinical rotations that ended at 7, then diving headfirst into the quick dash grind. She was 2 years into medical school before the money ran dry, forcing her to downgrade to nursing coursework, and eventually, when the grief became too heavy to carry, she had dropped out of that too. Now, her feet throbbed in second-hand sneakers that had lost their arch support months ago. Her stomach was a hollow pit, empty since the granola bar she'd split in half at dawn, saving the second half for tomorrow's breakfast. Ping! The app on her phone lit up the dark cab. You have arrived. Deliver to loading dock, rear entrance. $15 tip. Erica's chest loosened, a physical sensation of relief washing over her. A $15 tip wasn't just extra cash, it was survival. It meant she could afford the instant ramen with the real egg in it, not just the sodium packet variety. It meant her bank account wouldn't bounce when the student loan sharks tried to take their bite on Friday. She grabbed the thermal bag from the passenger seat. It was an expensive sushi order, the kind of midnight craving only someone with money to burn would indulge in. The receipt taped to the bag showed a $200 tab for raw fish that would likely sit in some executive's breakroom fridge until it rotted. Erica killed the engine. The silence that followed was immediate and wrong. There was no low hum of heavy machinery, no sweeping beams of security lights cutting through the rain, just the heavy percussion of water hitting metal and the distant, mournful groan of the expressway. She had delivered to warehouses before. They usually hummed with an industrial buzz, protected by guards and cameras, a place that never truly slept. This place felt abandoned. Hollow. A concrete tomb. Just drop it and go, she told herself, shivering. Clock out, drive home, eat, sleep. But that $15 tip. It was the carrot on the stick. Erica pulled her hood up over her textured curls and stepped out into the deluge. The rain hit her skin like needles, sharp and biting. The loading dock loomed ahead, a concrete maw cut into the side of the brick building. The overhead safety light was shattered, leaving the area in gloom. The booth where a security guard should have been stationed stood empty, its window dark and staring like a vacant eye. Her sneakers splashed through oil-slicked puddles as she approached. The thermal bag felt heavier with every step. Something in her gut twisted a sharp, cold nod of warning. Nursing school had taught her to trust that instinct. It was the same primal alarm that made her check breathing patterns, the sixth sense that noticed when a patient's color went gray before the monitors even beeped. She was 20 feet from the dock entrance when the sound cut through the rain. Crying. Not just any crying. It was the desperate, hiccuping wail of an infant. 2 voices, weaving together in a chorus of pure distress. 2 babies. Erica froze, the thermal bag slipping from her numb fingers. It hit the pavement with a wet slap, the expensive sushi forgotten. Hello. Her voice came out smaller than she intended, swallowed instantly by the wind and rain. Is someone there? The crying intensified, terrified, abandoned. Erica's feet moved before her brain could authorize the action. She rounded the corner of the loading dock, her eyes straining against the oppressive darkness. The security light from the main building barely reached this deep into the alley, casting everything in sickly, jaundiced orange shadows. Then she saw them. 2 infant car seats sat on the rain-slicked concrete, partially sheltered by the rusted skeleton of a fire escape overhead. The babies inside couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 months old. Their small faces were red and scrunched with distress, their cries ragged and desperate. But it was the man beside them that made Erica's breath hitch in her throat. He was slumped against the rough brick wall, one hand white-knuckled around the handle of the nearest car seat. Even in the dim light, she could see the dark, glossy stains spreading across his shoulder and chest, mixing with the rain, too thick and too dark to be water. His suit was bespoke, tailored to perfection, now ruined and soaked in blood. She could tell at a glance the fabric cost more than her entire semester's tuition. Dark hair was plastered to his forehead, and intricate, serpentine tattoos crept up his neck from beneath his collar, deliberate and terrifyingly beautiful. A luxury sedan sat 20 feet away, its front end crumpled like an accordion into a concrete support pillar, steam and smoke still curling lazily from the shattered hood. Oh my God. Erica dropped to her knees beside him, the wet concrete soaking through her jeans instantly. She barely registered the cold. Sir? Sir, can you hear me? His eyes fluttered open. They were dark, almost black in the shadows, filled with agony and something else that made her heart hammer against her ribs fear. Not for himself, but for the crying infants beside him. Leave. His voice was barely a whisper, a rasp of gravel heavy with an accent she couldn't place. Korean, perhaps. His hand moved, slow and shaking, and Erica's blood turned to ice. He was holding a gun. The barrel lifted, wavering in the air, before steadying to point directly at her chest. Leave, he rasped again, his eyes losing focus. Or die. Erica's hands were already pressing against his shoulder before her mind caught up with the threat of the weapon. Warm, wet, arterial blood pulsed beneath her fingers. She'd seen enough trauma in her clinical rotations to know this was critical. The wound was still bleeding, though the flow had slowed, likely due to the drop in his blood pressure. His skin was cold, clammy, and pale. Shock was setting in. You need a hospital. The words tumbled out, automatic, trained. I need to call 911. No. The gun steadied just slightly, his finger tightening on the trigger. His jaw clenched, fighting the darkness encroaching on his vision. No police. No hospital. They'll find the children. The babies were screaming now, a jagged sound that tore at something primal in Erica's chest. She looked at the loading dock doors behind him. A heavy padlock secured them from the outside. He wasn't hiding here. He was trapped here. Her mind raced, cycling through 2 years of medical theory, through the trauma of losing her parents in a twisted wreck of metal and fire not unlike the sedan smoking nearby. She remembered holding her father's hand while he bled out on the asphalt, waiting for ambulances that came too late. She remembered watching her mother slip away in a sterile hospital bed, calling Erica's name with her last breath. If I'd just known more. If I'd just been faster. Please, the word left his lips like a broken prayer. The gun lowered an inch, his strength failing. Please. Erica looked at the babies. She looked at this man who was dying by inches, but still held onto the car seat with a grip of iron. She looked at the locked doors, the empty guard booth, the smoking wreckage. Every rational neuron in her brain screamed at her to run, to call for help, to do the legal thing, the safe thing. But she heard her father's voice in the rain. Don't let them go, Erica. Whatever you do, don't let them go. Okay. The word left her mouth before she could stop it. Okay. But we're moving. Now. Can you stand? He nodded. It was probably a lie. Erica looked at the babies, their faces wet with tears and rain. Are they yours? Something flickered in his eyes, pride, fierce and burning even through the agony. My children. Aeri. Jiho. Then Aeri and Jiho are coming too. Erica grabbed the first car seat. It was heavier than she expected. She set it carefully under the overhang where the rain couldn't reach, then grabbed the second. Her arms burned with the effort. She returned to the man, sliding her shoulder under his good arm. On 3. My van is 40 feet away. You're going to make it. Understand? He nodded again, his teeth gritted. 1, 2, 3. They rose together. His weight nearly buckled her knees. He was tall, easily 6'2", a wall of solid muscle beneath the ruined silk suit. He bit back a guttural sound of pain, and Erica felt the tremors racking his body. Step by agonizing step, they made their way toward her van. Erica's lungs burned in the cold air. Her legs shook under the combined weight. She kept talking, partly to keep him conscious, partly to keep herself from screaming. I'm Erica, by the way. Erica Hale. I'm a nursing student. Well, I was. I dropped out, but I remember enough. God, I hope I remember enough. They reached the van. She propped him against the sliding door and ran back for the babies, grabbing both car seats at once, her biceps screaming in protest. She secured them in the back seat, her fingers fumbling with the unfamiliar buckles. The babies had quieted to exhausted whimpers, their wide, dark eyes watching her with that unnerving, ancient awareness infants sometimes possess. It's okay, Erica whispered, though she had no idea if that was true. I've got you. The man Joo Won-Jae, though she didn't know his name yet, had slid down the side of the van by the time she returned. Erica hauled him into the passenger seat. His head fell back against the headrest, his neck exposed, revealing more of that terrifying, beautiful ink. She slammed the door and raced to the driver's side. The engine coughed twice before turning over. Erica's hands were shaking so badly she could barely grip the wheel. She peeled away from the warehouse, her eyes darting between the rain-slicked road and the man bleeding out beside her. In the green glow of the dashboard lights, she could see his face clearly now. Sharp, aristocratic features, high cheekbones, the intricate tattoos crawling up his neck and disappearing into his hairline. The suit was worth 6 months of her rent. The watch on his limp wrist could pay off her student loans twice over. What have I done? The drive to her studio apartment usually took 30 minutes. Erica made it in 18, running 2 red lights and pushing her old van until the frame rattled. She kept talking the whole way, rambling, desperate to keep the silence at bay. My place is small. Really small. But it's clean. I have medical supplies. Bandages. Isopropyl alcohol. I can do this. I can. Thank you. His voice cut through her panic. Quiet, but steady. Erica's hands tightened on the wheel until her knuckles turned white. In the back seat, one of the twins started crying again, a sound that reached into Erica's chest and squeezed her heart. Almost there, she promised them all, her voice breaking. Almost there. She pulled up to her building, killed the engine, and sat for one long moment in the silence. She had just brought a wounded stranger, a man who was clearly dangerous, and 2 babies to her home. She hadn't called the police. She had no idea what had happened to him, who he was running from, or why he was so desperate to avoid hospitals. His hand touched her arm. Erica jumped. His eyes were open. Clearer now, despite the pain etched into every line of his face. Thank you, he said again. The weight of those 2 words settled over her like a crown she never asked to wear. Erica nodded and stepped out into the rain. And so, it began. Getting him up 3 flights of stairs nearly killed them both. Erica half carried, half dragged him, pausing every few steps while he fought a silent war to stay conscious. Miss Hattie from apartment 2B opened her door at the commotion, took one look at the blood and the desperation in Erica's eyes, and closed it again without a word. Erica had never been more grateful for the unspoken code of the neighborhood. Mind your business, stay alive. By the time they reached her door, she was shaking from exertion. The man was barely breathing, and somewhere behind them in the night, someone was hunting. Erica's studio apartment was a claustrophobic box on the 3rd floor of a building that should have been condemned a decade ago. Peeling wallpaper the color of old coffee stains curled at the corners. A kitchenette barely large enough for one person to turn around in stood in the corner. A futon that doubled as her couch and bed, the spring shot through years ago, took up most of the living space. The radiator clanked and hissed, producing more noise than heat. She kicked the door shut behind her and let the stranger collapse against the nearest wall. His weight had nearly broken her on the last flight of stairs. Her shoulders screamed, her thighs burned, but she couldn't stop. Not yet. The babies were still crying. A relentless, drilling sound that made her ears ring. Erica set the car seats on the futon. Her hands were shaking so badly she fumbled the straps. Aeri's face was red and blotchy, her tiny fists waving in distress. Jiho's cries were hoarser, exhausted. I know. I'm sorry. Erica's voice cracked. She had no idea what she was doing with infants. Her clinical rotations had focused on adult trauma, not pediatrics. She'd held a baby exactly twice in her life, and both times under strict supervision. A wet, rattling cough jerked her attention back to the man. He'd slid down the wall, leaving a dark, streaky smear behind him on the wallpaper. His head lolled to one side, eyes closed, breathing ragged. The blood had soaked through his entire left side now, spreading across the expensive fabric that seemed absurd in her shabby apartment. The contrast was jarring. He looked like a dark god pulled from a completely different world and dropped into hers, broken and bleeding. Erica's training kicked in, overriding the panic. She grabbed the plastic storage bin from under her futon, the one labeled medical in faded Sharpie. Bandages, gauze, alcohol, tweezers, surgical thread she'd liberated from the university supply closet before dropping out. A half-empty bottle of vodka that lived in her freezer for nights when the loneliness got too heavy. She spread a sheet on the floor, rolled him onto it, and knelt beside him. Her hands moved with mechanical precision, cutting away the ruined suit jacket. The fabric tore easily under her scissors, revealing the dress shirt beneath. White silk turned burgundy with blood. She cut that away too. The wound was high on his left shoulder, just below the collarbone. Entry wound, clean, small caliber, probably 9 millimeters. Her fingers probed carefully, feeling for the exit wound. Nothing. Damn it. The bullet was still inside. Won-Jae's eyes fluttered open at her touch. Dark and unfocused, pupils blown wide with pain and shock. He muttered something in Korean, the words thick and slurred. I don't understand, Erica whispered, pressing gauze against the wound to staunch the flow. Blood welled between her fingers, hot and sticky. Stay with me. I need you awake. His hand shot up, gripping her wrist with surprising strength. His fingers were cold despite the fever heat radiating from his skin. The touch sent a jolt of electricity up her arm, sharp and undeniable. His gaze locked onto hers, suddenly clear and piercing. Don't stop. His accent made the words sound like gravel grinding against silk. Whatever happens, don't stop. I won't. Erica didn't know why she made that promise, but the words came out firm. Certain. She poured vodka over the tweezers, then over the wound. He hissed through his teeth, his jaw clenching hard enough to make the muscles in his neck stand out like steel cables. The intricate tattoos there seemed to writhe in the dim light, dragons and geometric patterns, characters she couldn't read. Erica took a breath and pushed the tweezers into the wound. His hand tightened on her wrist hard enough to bruise. He didn't scream. Didn't make a sound beyond a sharp intake of breath. But his entire body went rigid. Every muscle locked in agony. Almost there. Sweat dripped down Erica's spine, despite the chill in the apartment. Her hand was steady. 2 years of med school and a lifetime of watching her mother remain calm during her father's rages had taught her how to compartmentalize, how to shut down the emotion and just do the work. The tweezers caught something solid. Erica adjusted her angle, felt resistance, and pulled. The bullet came free with a wet schluck sound that made her stomach turn. She dropped it into a metal bowl with a heavy clink, immediately pressing fresh gauze against the gushing blood. Won-Jae's grip on her wrist loosened. His head fell back, breath coming in shallow gasps. For a terrifying moment, Erica thought she'd lost him. Then his chest rose and fell, and she heard the rasp of air in his lungs. "Stay with me," she commanded softly. She threaded the needle with shaking hands. The surgical sutures were old, probably expired, but they'd have to do. "This is going to hurt." She pushed the needle through skin. He flinched, but didn't pull away. Erica worked quickly, her stitches neat despite the tremor in her fingers. Muscle memory from countless hours in the skills lab took over, sewing up practice dummies that didn't bleed or breathe or grip her wrist like she was the only thing keeping them tethered to the earth. 10 stitches. 12. 15. She tied off the last one and sat back on her heels, breathing hard. Blood covered her hands, soaked into her jeans, splattered across her threadbare tank top. The metallic smell filled the small space, mixing with the vodka and the underlying scent of him, expensive cologne cut with sweat and gunpowder. Erica bandaged the wound with the last of her clean gauze, wrapping it tight across his shoulder and around his back. Her hands brushed against his bare skin. He was burning up. She needed to get fluids in him, monitor for infection, watch for signs of shock. But first, the babies. They'd gone quiet. Not peaceful, but exhausted. That scared Erica more than the crying. She washed her hands in the kitchenette sink, scrubbing away the blood until her skin was raw, then turned to the car seats. Aeri stared up at her with wide, dark eyes. She'd stopped crying, but her little face was still red, her expression one of confused distress. Jiho had fallen into an uneasy sleep, his small chest rising and falling rapidly. Erica had no formula, no bottles, no diapers. "What do I do with you?" she whispered to the room. A sound made her turn. Won-Jae had pushed himself up to a sitting position, his back against the wall. His face was gray with pain, but his eyes were alert, fixed on the babies with an intensity that made Erica's breath catch. "Aeri," his voice was rough, "the girl. Jiho is the boy. They need formula, diapers. I don't have anything. I can't just leave you here and..." Compartment. Under the car seats. He gestured weakly toward the infant carriers. "Emergency supplies." Erica blinked. Sure enough, when she looked closer, she saw the storage compartments beneath each seat base. She popped them open and found sealed bottles of ready-made formula, a pack of newborn diapers, and even a pacifier. "You came prepared." "I am always prepared." Something flickered in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. It softened the harsh lines of his face, made him look younger, human. Erica warmed the bottles in the microwave, testing the temperature on her wrist, the way she vaguely remembered from a babysitting job when she was 16. She lifted Aeri first, cradling the tiny weight against her chest. The baby latched onto the bottle immediately, sucking with desperate hunger. "When did they last eat?" Erica asked. 7 hours, Won-Jae's jaw tightened. "Maybe 8. These babies are 6 months old at most." Erica's chest constricted with something that felt dangerously close to protective rage. What kind of situation makes a man run with his children for 8 hours without stopping to feed them? Aeri finished the bottle and immediately fell asleep against Erica's shoulder, a warm, trusting weight. Erica laid her back in the car seat and picked up Jiho. He woke with a startled cry, his small body stiffening. Erica shushed him softly, offering the bottle. He resisted at first, turning his face away, but hunger won out. He drank more slowly than his sister, his eyes watching Erica with an unnerving awareness. "They're beautiful," Erica said quietly. "Yes." Won-Jae's gaze hadn't left them. In the harsh light from the single overhead bulb, Erica could see him clearly for the first time. Strong features, sharp cheekbones, a mouth that looked like it rarely smiled. The tattoos on his neck were intricate, clearly expensive work. And his hands, even bloodied and trembling, were elegant. Long fingers, clean nails despite everything. The kind of hands that could sign death warrants or cradle a newborn with equal capability. Erica changed both babies, fumbling through the process with shaking hands. Neither of them seemed particularly bothered by her inexperience. They were too exhausted. She settled them back into their car seats, covered them with her only clean blanket, and turned back to Won-Jae. He was watching her with an expression she couldn't read. You should sleep, Erica said. Your body needs to heal. You should run, he said matter-of-factly. No emotion in his voice. Take whatever cash is in my wallet and disappear. This apartment is compromised the moment I give you a name. Erica crossed her arms over her chest, suddenly aware of how small her space was, how close he was, how the air between them felt charged with something dangerous. Little late for that warning. I'm giving it anyway. He shifted, wincing as the movement pulled at his stitches. You don't know what you've brought into your home. Then tell me. Erica moved closer, kneeling so they were eye level. Who shot you? Why were you at that warehouse? And why the hell would someone lock the doors from the outside? Won-Jae studied her for a long moment. His gaze dropped to her mouth, then back to her eyes. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. What's your phone number? Erica rattled it off without thinking. He pulled out his phone, cracked screen, but still functioning, and pulled up her quick dash profile. Her photo stared back at her. Erica Hale. 5-star rating. 3,000 deliveries completed. Who ordered the sushi? Won-Jae asked. Erica frowned. Some corporate account. Big tip. I didn't really look at the name. He showed her the screen. The order details, the timestamp. And then he showed her something else. A cancelled order, placed and deleted within the same minute. A ghost entry that shouldn't exist. No one ordered the sushi, Erica. His accent wrapped around her name like smoke. They hacked your app. Created a fake order to lure a driver to that exact location at that exact time. They needed someone to unlock the loading dock doors from the outside. You weren't just in the wrong place at the wrong time, he continued. You were the key they planned to use to get to me. Erica's blood went cold. That's not possible. You're paranoid. You're a nursing student dropout, correct? You work 4 nights a week for Quick Dash. Your route covers the industrial district because no one else wants it. You're predictable. Reliable. He locked the phone screen. And you were perfect for what they needed. What they needed, Erica's voice came out flat, was to trap me. Won-Jae leaned his head back against the wall, exhaustion finally catching up to him. And to make sure there was a civilian witness who could be blamed when they killed me. The words hung in the air between them, heavy and choking. Erica stood abruptly, backing away. Her mind raced, trying to process everything he was saying. Then why didn't they kill me? Because I killed them first, he said it casually, like commenting on the weather. For men waiting in the shadows of that loading dock. They expected me to arrive alone, wounded from the car crash, seeking shelter. They didn't expect me to arrive 10 minutes early and clear the building before you got there. You were protecting me. The realization hit Erica like a physical blow. You didn't know me. You'd never seen me before. But you stayed in that alley because you knew I was coming. I owed you a debt. Won-Jae's eyes closed. You were bait. Innocent. That made it my responsibility to ensure you survived. Erica thought about the empty guard booth, the unlocked loading dock doors, the way he'd been positioned against the wall, gun aiming. He hadn't been hiding. He'd been standing guard. Who are you? She whispered. He opened his eyes, met her gaze with an intensity that made her feel stripped bare. Someone who shouldn't be here. Someone who's going to get you killed if you let me stay. Then why did you let me bring you here? Because I am a selfish bastard. A hint of dark humor touched his mouth. And because my children needed somewhere safe to sleep. Erica looked at the twins, peaceful in their car seats. She looked at this dangerous, wounded man bleeding on her floor. She looked at her hands, still stained with his blood despite washing them twice. She'd made her choice the moment she pressed her hands to his chest and refused to let him die. There's a blanket in the closet, Erica said quietly. And the futon folds out. You're not sleeping on the floor, Erica. Don't. You're in no condition to argue, and I'm too tired to care about the consequences right now. Tomorrow, we'll figure this out. Tonight, everyone in this apartment gets to survive. That's the only goal. Won-Jae studied her for a long moment. Then, impossibly, he smiled. A real smile, small and crooked and devastating. You're dangerous, says the man who shoots people in warehouses. Especially for a man who shoots people in warehouses. Erica pulled the blanket from her tiny closet and spread it over the extended futon. She helped him to his feet, his weight against her side, his breath warm on her temple. She settled him on the futon, propped pillows behind his back so he could keep his wounded shoulder elevated. The studio apartment felt even smaller with 4 people in it. Erica grabbed her own pillow and curled up on the floor between the futon and the babies. A human barrier between the wounded mob boss and his children. She should be terrified. Should be calling the cops. Should be barricading herself in the bathroom. Should be anywhere but here. Instead, she closed her eyes and listened to the sound of breathing. For lives, all entangled now. All dependent on choices she'd made in the span of a few heartbeats. Tomorrow would bring consequences. Tonight, she'd bought them all a chance to survive. In the darkness, she heard Won-Jae's voice, so quiet she almost missed it. "Thank you." Erica didn't answer. Didn't trust herself to speak. Because she was starting to realize something terrifying, she didn't regret any of it. Morning came harsh and unforgiving. Erica woke to the sound of crying. Aerie this time, her wails high-pitched and insistent. Gray light filtered through the single window, turning the studio apartment into a scene of washed-out chaos. Blood-stained sheets, medical supplies scattered across the floor, empty formula bottles. And Won-Jae, awake and watching her from the futon. His fever had broken sometime in the night. Erica could tell from the clarity in his eyes, the steadier rhythm of his breathing. But he looked worse in daylight. The shadows under his eyes were deep purple bruises. His skin had taken on a grayish cast. The bandages on his shoulder were spotted with fresh blood. "She's hungry," he said simply. Erica pushed herself upright, her body screaming in protest. Every muscle ached from yesterday's exertion. She hadn't slept more than 2 hours, jerking awake at every sound, certain she'd hear footsteps in the hallway or the splintering of her door. But the building remained quiet. Even Miss Hattie next door kept her television at a respectful volume. Erica prepared bottles, changed diapers, went through the motions with mechanical efficiency. Her hands knew what to do even when her brain felt stuffed with cotton. When both babies were settled again, she turned to find Won-Jae trying to sit up. "Don't." She crossed to him quickly. "You'll tear the stitches. I need to check my phone." His voice was strained with pain, but determined. "See if anyone's reached out. You need to rest." Erica pushed him back down, perhaps more firmly than necessary. Her palm pressed against his bare chest, still too warm, his heart hammering beneath her hand. She pulled back quickly, awareness crackling through her like static electricity. "I'm not used to being told what to do. Then this will be a learning experience." Their eyes met, held. Something passed between them in that moment. Something that made Erica's breath catch and her skin feel too tight. She'd spent her entire life making herself small, invisible, unthreatening. Her father had demanded it. The nursing program had expected it. Even her quick dash deliveries required a certain practiced harmlessness. But this man was looking at her like she was the most dangerous thing in the room. "You're used to people being afraid of you," Erica said quietly. "Yes. I should be afraid of you. Yes." His gaze dropped to her mouth. "But you're not. I'm terrified." Erica's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "Just not of you." The confession hung between them. Won-Jae's expression shifted into something Erica couldn't read, hunger maybe. Or longing. Or both. Before either of them could speak again, Jiho started fussing. The moment shattered. Erica spent the morning in survival mode. She rationed the last of the emergency formula, washed the bloodied sheets in her bathtub sink, changed Won-Jae's bandages with steady hands that belied the chaos in her chest. By noon, the reality of the situation began to press in. She had no food beyond half a box of stale crackers. The formula wouldn't last another day. Her bank account had $43 in it, and she had a wounded crime lord and 2 infants living in her 300-square-foot studio. Erica was cleaning bottles when the question finally burst out of her. What kind of father takes 6-month-old twins to a warehouse meeting? The words came out sharper than she intended. Won-Jae had been dozing, his breathing finally even and deep. His eyes opened at her voice, instantly alert. "Excuse me." Erica turned to face him, soapy water dripping from her hands. "You heard me. What kind of man brings his babies to a place where he expects to be shot at? The kind who has no choice." That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. Won-Jae shifted on the futon, his jaw tight with pain or anger or both. You think I wanted them there? You think I planned to have my children in the line of fire? Then explain it to me. Erica crossed her arms. Make it make sense. Because from where I'm standing, you either endangered your own children or you're lying about what happened. The silence stretched between them, sharp and dangerous. When Won-Jae finally spoke, his voice was low and controlled, deadly calm. I woke up at 3 a.m. to check the nursery monitors. They were blank. Static. I went to their room and found my head of security disabling the alarms. He paused, his hands clenching into fists on the blanket. He was the man I trusted to protect them when I couldn't. He was supposed to be loyal. Instead, he sold us out to the highest bidder. Erica's anger deflated, replaced by cold dread. What did you do? What I had to do? Won-Jae's gaze was steady, unflinching. I killed him. Silently. Quickly. Then I grabbed the twins and ran. I had 15 minutes before the rest of his team realized something was wrong. I got to my car, strapped them in, and drove for the private airfield. What happened? They rammed me 6 blocks from my house. Passenger side. Pushed me into a pillar. His voice remained emotionless, but Erica could see the tension in every line of his body. The airbags deployed. The twins were screaming. I had a concussion and blood in my eyes, and I knew more were coming. So you went to the warehouse. It was the closest cover. I thought I'd have 10 minutes to regroup. Find another vehicle. Get us out of the city. He looked at the sleeping babies. The warehouse was supposed to be empty. Instead, it was a trap. They hacked your delivery app to ensure someone would unlock the doors from the outside at the exact moment they needed access. Erica sank into the folding chair near the kitchenette, her legs suddenly weak. You didn't take them to a meeting. You were trying to escape. I am the only safe place left in their world. The words came out rough, scraped raw. Their mother is dead. My organization is compromised. Everyone I trusted has either betrayed me or been killed. I am all they have left. Erica thought about her own mother, calling for her with her last breaths. About holding her father's hand while he died in twisted metal. About being utterly alone in the world, with no one to trust, no one to rely on. I understand, she said softly. Won-Jae's eyes snapped to hers. Do you? Yes. Erica held his gaze. Because I'm all I have left too. Something shifted in his expression. The defensive wall cracked, just slightly. Erica saw past the cold mob boss exterior to the man beneath, desperate, exhausted, terrified of failing the 2 tiny lives depending on him. Your bandages need changing, Erica said, breaking the moment before it could become too heavy. And I need to check for infection. She gathered her supplies and knelt beside the futon. Won-Jae sat up slowly, allowing her to unwrap the bloody gauze. The wound looked better, angry and red, but the stitches were holding. No signs of serious infection yet. Erica's fingers worked efficiently, cleaning the area with gentle precision. She was acutely aware of their proximity, of the heat radiating from his skin, of the way his breathing changed when her hands brushed against his bare shoulder. The tattoos were impossible to ignore now. Intricate patterns covered his neck, disappeared beneath the bandages, and snaked down his arms. Dragons coiled around geometric shapes, characters in a script Erica couldn't read. The artwork was beautiful, clearly expensive. Their coordinates, Won-Jae said quietly. Erica's hands stilled. What? The tattoos. He lifted his right arm, showing her the inside of his forearm. Numbers hidden within the pattern. They're not just art. They're coordinates. And ciphers. Access codes. Encryption keys. I don't understand. The Gyeong Syndicate has existed for 80 years. We've built assets, offshore accounts, property holdings, information networks. His voice was matter-of-fact, clinical. All of it requires keys to access. Passwords. Biometric data. And in my case, a very literal map. Erica traced one of the patterns with her fingertip, not quite touching his skin. How much? How much what? How much is written on your body? Won-Jae's mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Enough to destabilize 3 governments and fund a small army for a decade. That's why they didn't shoot you in the head. The realization clicked into place. They need you alive. Or they need my skin. He said it flatly, without emotion. Dead or alive, the information is still there. They just prefer alive, because then they can extract everything I know beyond what's inked. Erica's stomach turned. That's barbaric. That's business. She resumed working on his bandages, her hands less steady now. The intimacy of the task felt different with this new knowledge. She wasn't just treating a wounded man. She was handling millions, billions in encrypted assets hidden in plain sight. Why did you tell me? Erica secured the fresh bandage, her fingers lingering against his skin for just a moment too long. Because you deserve to know what you're protecting. Won-Jae captured her hand before she could pull away. His thumb brushed across her knuckles, a touch that sent heat racing up her arm. And, because if something happens to me, someone needs to know how to access what the children will need. Nothing's going to happen to you. You can't promise that. Watch me. Erica met his eyes, saw her own reflection in those dark depths. I didn't go through med school, lose my parents, work myself to exhaustion, and haul your dying ass up 3 flights of stairs just to lose you to an infection or a hit squad. Why? The question was soft, genuinely curious. Why are you doing this? You could have called the police. Could have walked away. Could have saved yourself. Erica thought about it. About the real answer beneath all the rationalizations. Because for the first time in 3 years, I feel like I'm doing something that matters. Like I'm not just surviving shift to shift, drowning in debt and grief and emptiness. You and these babies, you need me. And I haven't been needed in a very long time. Won-Jae's hand tightened on hers. You're going to get yourself killed. Maybe. Erica smiled, surprising herself. But at least I'll die doing something besides delivering overpriced sushi to people who don't tip. A sound escaped him, not quite a laugh, but close. It transformed his face, made him look younger. Human. Dangerous in an entirely different way. Joo chose that moment to wake with a cry. Erica pulled her hand free and went to him, lifting the baby against her shoulder. He was small and warm and real, his tiny fist clutching at her shirt. She turned back to find Won-Jae watching her with an expression she couldn't name. Hunger, maybe. Or longing. Or both. Let me try, he said. You're not strong enough. Please. The single word held so much weight. Erica hesitated, then carefully transferred Joo to Won-Jae's arms. She had to help him position the baby, had to support most of the weight herself because his wounded shoulder couldn't take the strain. Won-Jae looked down at his son with an expression of absolute terror. I'm going to drop him. You won't. I've got you. And she did. Erica's hands cradled both the baby and the father, creating a bridge between them. Joo settled almost immediately, his small body relaxing against Won-Jae's chest. The baby's tiny hand reached up, grasping at the ink on his father's neck. For the first time since Erica had found him bleeding in that alley, Won-Jae looked like he might break. His eyes closed, his jaw clenched. A single muscle jumped in his cheek. I don't know how to do this, he whispered. How to be soft. How to be safe. You learn. Erica's voice was gentle. You figure it out as you go. You make mistakes and you fix them and you keep trying. What if I fail? Then we fail together. Erica meant it. She'd tied herself to these 3 lives without thinking about the consequences. And now, watching this dangerous man cradle his son with shaking hands, she realized she wouldn't take it back even if she could. Won-Jae opened his eyes, looked at her, and Erica saw the moment he stopped fighting whatever was building between them. The moment he accepted that she wasn't leaving, that they were in this together. Thank you, Erica. He said it with such sincerity, such raw honesty, that Erica felt something crack open in her chest. Something she'd been keeping carefully locked away since the night her mother died. Hope. You're welcome. They stayed like that for a long moment, the 3 of them connected by touch and necessity and something far more dangerous. Outside, New York continued its relentless pace. Sirens wailed in the distance. Traffic hummed on the expressway. The world kept turning, indifferent to the small revolution happening in Erica Hale's 300-square-foot studio apartment. But in this moment, in this fragile bubble of safety, it was just the 4 of them against everything else. Erica had no idea how they'd survive. Had no plan beyond getting through the next hour, the next day. But she knew, with absolute certainty, that she'd made the right choice. Even if it killed her. 3 days passed in a strange, suspended reality. Erica called in sick to her clinical rotations, claiming a family emergency that felt more real than any lie she'd ever told. She canceled her quick dash shifts. The $43 in her account dwindled to nothing. She rationed the last of the formula, measuring every ounce like liquid gold. She learned to anticipate when Aeri would wake crying and when Jiho just needed to be held. She learned the rhythm of Won-Jae's breathing, could tell when his pain spiked, or when the fever threatened to return. They fell into a routine born of necessity. Erica changed his bandages at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Won-Jae insisted on trying to help with the babies despite his limited mobility, his determination almost painful to watch. They didn't talk about what came next. Didn't acknowledge the impossibility of their situation. The studio apartment felt both too small and strangely intimate. Every movement brought them into contact. Every conversation happened in whispers so as not to wake the twins. Erica slept on the floor between the futon and the babies, a human barrier that had become a habit. On the 4th morning, Erica woke to find the radiator actually working. Heat pumped through the ancient metal, filling the apartment with blessed warmth for the first time since winter began. She sat up, disoriented. Won-Jae was awake, sitting on the edge of the futon with a screwdriver in his good hand. "You fixed my heater." It was a simple mechanical issue. The pressure valve was stuck. He set the screwdriver down carefully. "You were cold." Something about that simple statement, "you were cold," made Erica's chest tight. She'd mentioned it once, offhand, 3 days ago. And he'd remembered. Had dragged himself across her apartment, fighting pain she couldn't imagine, to repair something she'd given up on months ago. "Thank you." "You're welcome." Won-Jae's gaze held hers. "I owed you." "You don't owe me anything." "I owe you everything." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning neither of them was ready to examine. Erica broke the moment by standing quickly, busying herself with the morning routine. But she was hyper-aware of him now in a way that made her skin feel electric. Of how his eyes followed her movements. Of the way the air seemed charged whenever they occupied the same space. By noon, the inevitable happened. They ran out of formula. Erica stared at the empty containers with mounting dread. She had no money. No way to get more supplies. The babies would be hungry again in 3 hours, and she had nothing to give them. "I need to make a supply run," she said, trying to sound casual. "No." Won-Jae's voice was sharp. "It's not safe. We don't have a choice. They need food." "Then I'll go." "You can barely stand." Erica grabbed her jacket. "I'll be fast." Corner store. In and out. "Erica, watch the babies. I'll be back in 20 minutes. She left before he could argue further, before she could lose her nerve. The November air bit at her face as she jogged down the 3 flights of stairs. Outside, the neighborhood looked normal. Afternoon shoppers, delivery trucks, nothing suspicious. But Erica couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up. The corner store was 6 blocks away. She walked quickly, hands jammed in her pockets, hood pulled up against the cold. The cashier barely looked at her as she grabbed 2 containers of formula and a box of diapers, the cheapest brands available. $32. She didn't have $32. Card declined, the cashier said flatly. "Can you try again?" Declined. Erica's face burned. The line behind her was growing. "I can put back the diapers." A hand reached past her, placing 2 crisp 20s on the counter. Erica spun around to find an older woman behind her. Korean, elegant despite her simple coat. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "For the babies," the woman said softly. "They need to eat." Every instinct Erica had screamed danger. But she took the money, muttered a strangled thanks, and fled the store with her purchases. She made it 2 blocks before realizing someone was following her. Not obviously, not threateningly, just a man in a dark coat maintaining a steady distance behind her. When Erica sped up, he sped up. When she turned down a side street, he followed. Erica broke into a run. She burst through her apartment building door, took the stairs 2 at a time, fumbled with her keys. The man didn't follow her inside, but she'd felt his eyes on her back the entire way. Watching. Tracking. We're compromised, she gasped as soon as she was inside, locking the deadbolt with shaking fingers. Someone followed me. An old woman paid for the formula? Won-Jae was already moving. His face was gray with pain, but his eyes were sharp. And then a man? Yes. Shadowers. They mark you so others can track you. We need to leave. Now. We can't. You're still healing and the babies. We will die if we stay here. He was already gathering supplies, moving with purpose despite his injuries. They're mapping our resources, waiting for the right moment to strike. Erica's hands shook as she warmed the bottles, her mind racing. How long do we have? Hours. Maybe less. She fed Aeri first, the baby drinking hungrily, oblivious to the danger. Joo followed, his small face relaxed and trusting. Erica memorized every detail. The weight of them in her arms. The sweet milk smell. The way their tiny hands gripped her fingers. If something went wrong, she wanted to remember this. This moment of peace before everything fell apart. Joo had just finished his bottle when his body went rigid in her arms. Won-Jae. Erica's voice cracked with terror. Something's wrong. The baby's eyes rolled back. White foam bubbled from his small mouth. His body began to convulse in violent spasms. No, 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 no. Erica laid him on the floor, turning him on his side. Her training kicked in, automatic and desperate. Airway. Breathing. Circulation. But nothing in her clinical rotations had prepared her for this. For holding a seizing infant in her arms while her own heart tried to claw its way out of her chest. Won-Jae was beside her in an instant, his pain forgotten. What's happening? Poison. The word came out choked. The formula. They poisoned the formula. Aeri started seizing seconds later. Erica's world narrowed to a single pinpoint of focus. 2 babies dying in front of her. 2 lives she'd sworn to protect slipping away because she'd been stupid, careless, desperate. Hospital, Won-Jae said. Now. We can't. Erica was already moving, grabbing supplies, her hands steady despite the screaming in her head. They'll be waiting. They want us panicked. Want us to run straight into their trap. Then what? I'm going to pump their stomachs. She said it with more confidence than she felt. Here. Now. Erica had seen the procedure done exactly twice during her pediatric rotation. Had read about it in textbooks. Had practiced on training dummies that didn't convulse and foam and die. She grabbed the medical tubing from her supply box. A turkey baster from the kitchenette. The saline solution she'd been using to clean Won-Jae's wound. Not sterile. Not proper equipment. But it was all she had. Hold Aeri. Erica's voice was pure command. Keep her on her side. Don't let her choke. Won-Jae obeyed instantly, cradling his daughter with his good arm. His face was a mask of controlled terror, but his hands were steady. Erica worked on Joo first. She measured the tubing, inserted it carefully down his tiny throat. He gagged, his small body fighting her. She pushed through, hating herself, knowing she had no choice. She pumped the saline in, suctioned the contents back out. Vomit and milk and the acrid smell of something chemical. Again and again. Until the fluid came back clear. Jihoo's seizures slowed, then stopped. His breathing evened out. Erica moved to Aeri. Repeated the process with shaking hands. The little girl fought harder, her small hands pushing weakly at Erica's arms. But Erica didn't stop. Couldn't stop. She pumped and suctioned until Aeri's stomach was empty and her breathing stabilized. Both babies lay exhausted and pale, but breathing. Alive. Erica collapsed back against the wall, her entire body trembling. Tears streamed down her face, silent and hot. She'd done it. She'd actually done it. But the horror of what had almost happened, what could still happen, crashed over her in waves. Won-Jae set Aeri carefully in her car seat and turned to Erica. For the first time since she'd met him, she saw his control shatter completely. He crossed to her in 2 strides and pulled her against his chest, his good arm wrapping around her with crushing force. Erica felt him shaking, felt the wetness of tears against her hair. You saved them. His voice was raw, broken. You saved my children. Erica couldn't speak, could only cling to him and shake and try to breathe through the adrenaline crash. They stayed like that for long minutes. Two people holding each other together while the world tried to tear them apart. When Won-Jae finally pulled back, his eyes were dry but haunted. He cupped her face in his hand, his thumb brushing away her tears. I owe you more than my life, he whispered. I owe you my legacy. You don't. Everything I have. Everything I am. Everything I've built. His gaze burned into hers. It's yours now. All of it. Because without you, none of it matters. Erica's breath caught. She knew what he was offering. Not just gratitude. Not just debt. But something far more dangerous and permanent. Won-Jae. Don't answer now. He released her gently, stepping back. But know that the offer stands. Always. Call to action. Can you imagine holding 2 lives in your hands with nothing but a turkey baster and a prayer? If your heart is racing as fast as mine, hit that like button right now. And if you want to know if they make it out of this apartment alive, smash that subscribe button. The hunters are at the door and things are about to get explosive. Don't go anywhere. We can't stay here, Won-Jae said finally. They've marked this location. They'll come tonight. Where do we go? I have a place. A safe house. No one knows about it. He looked at her, his expression unreadable. But once we go there, Erica, there is no going back. You will be fully committed to this world. To me. To everything that comes with it. Erica thought about her empty apartment. Her abandoned dreams of finishing nursing school. Her dead-end delivery job and mounting debt and crushing loneliness. She thought about her parents' graves she hadn't visited in 6 months because she couldn't afford flowers. Then she looked at the twins alive and breathing because she'd refused to give up. She looked at Won-Jae, this dangerous, complicated man who trusted her with everything that mattered. Let's go, she said simply. They packed in silence. Erica changed the babies into clean clothes, secured them in their car seats. Won-Jae moved slowly but deliberately, gathering what little they had. His phone went into the toilet tank, destroyed beyond recovery. Erica's phone followed. No tracking, he explained. From this point forward, we are ghosts. Erica took one last look at her studio apartment. At the peeling wallpaper and broken furniture, and the life she'd been barely surviving. She felt nothing, no regret, no nostalgia. Just relief that she was finally leaving it all behind. They made it to the van without incident. Won-Jae gave her directions in short, clipped sentences. They drove in silence, the city lights blurring past the windows. Erica kept checking the rearview mirror, searching for pursuit, but the streets remained clear. Empty. Too empty. Something's wrong, she said. I know. They were 15 minutes from the safe house when Won-Jae's burner phone rang. Unknown number, he answered, his expression hardening as he listened. What? Erica asked when he hung up. Change of plans. His voice was flat. Deadly. The safe house is compromised. They were there first. Then where? I don't know. For the first time, Won-Jae sounded lost. I don't know where else is safe. Erica's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Behind them, headlights appeared in the distance. 1 vehicle. Then 2. Then 4. We have company, she said quietly. Won-Jae turned to look, his jaw clenched. Drive fast. Erica pressed the accelerator to the floor. The old van protested, engine whining, but it responded. The speedometer climbed past 60, past 70. The pursuing vehicles matched their speed. They're not trying to stop us, Won-Jae observed. They're hurting us. To where? Nowhere good. Erica's mind raced. They had a wounded man, 2 babies, and a van that wouldn't survive a high-speed chase. No weapons. No backup. No plan. They were trapped. And somewhere in the darkness behind them, hunters closed in for the kill. The GPS on Won-Jae's burner phone showed nothing but dead ends ahead. Erica took a hard right, tires screaming, the van tilting dangerously. In the back, the babies woke crying. Their wails filled the small space, adding to the chaos. Won-Jae pointed to an industrial complex coming up on the left. Storage facilities. Multiple buildings. We can lose them in the maze. Erica didn't hesitate. She yanked the wheel, jumping the curb, crashing through a chain-link fence that had seen better days. The van bounced violently over rough pavement, shock absorbers screaming. Behind them, the pursuing vehicles slowed, regrouping. They'd bought themselves minutes. Maybe. Erica killed the lights and drove by moonlight alone, navigating between massive storage buildings. She pulled into a narrow alley between two units and cut the engine. Silence. Just the tick of cooling metal and the baby's frightened cries. We need to move. Won-Jae was already out of the van, his face gray with pain, but his movements decisive. Take the twins. Find a unit that's unlocked. What about you? I'm the distraction. He pulled a gun from somewhere in his jacket. Erica hadn't even known he was armed. They want me. I'll lead them away from you. Absolutely not. Erica grabbed the first car seat, then the second. Her arms burned with the weight, but she didn't care. We stay together. That's the only way this works. She saw him start to argue, then stop. Something shifted in his expression. Not surrender. Recognition. He nodded once and led the way deeper into the complex. The storage facility was a labyrinth of identical buildings. Won-Jae moved with purpose despite his injuries, checking doors, testing locks. The third unit he tried had a broken latch. He shouldered it open and ushered Erica inside. Darkness. Complete and absolute. Erica's heart hammered as she fumbled in the blind gloom. Then, light bloomed. Won-Jae had found a battery-powered lantern someone had left behind. The unit was maybe 10 by 15 feet. Empty except for some old furniture covered in dust and a stack of cardboard boxes. Erica set the car seats down carefully, her arms shaking with relief. They're right behind us, Won-Jae said quietly. He was listening at the door, the gun steady in his hand despite his weakened state. How many? At least 6. Maybe more. He looked at her, his expression unreadable. Erica, if I tell you to run. I won't. If I tell you to run, he continued as if she hadn't spoken, you take the twins and you go. There is an emergency kit in the van under the driver's seat. Cash. Fake IDs. Everything you need to disappear. Stop talking like you're going to die. I'm talking like I'm prepared for reality. Won-Jae moved closer, cupped her face with his free hand. You have already done more than anyone could ask. More than I had any right to hope for. But this is where it ends for me. This is where you save yourself. No. Erica grabbed his wrist, held on tight. We survive this together. Or not at all. Those are the options. Choose. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Then Won-Jae smiled. That devastating, crooked smile that made him look almost human. You are impossible. I'm committed. There's a difference. A sound outside cut off whatever he was about to say. Footsteps. Multiple sets. Getting closer. Won-Jae killed the lantern. Darkness swallowed them again. Erica heard him move, positioning himself by the door. She fumbled in the shadows, finding a metal pipe among the old furniture. Not much, but better than nothing. Stay behind me, Won-Jae whispered. No matter what happens, protect the twins. The footsteps stopped right outside their unit. Erica's breath caught. In the darkness, she heard Jiho shifting, starting to fuss. She pressed her hand gently over his mouth, hating herself for it, but knowing a cry right now would kill them all. The footsteps moved on. Erica released the breath she'd been holding. They waited in the darkness, every sense on high alert. Minutes crawled past like hours. The babies somehow understood the danger, staying quiet with an eerie awareness. Then the door exploded inward. The metal shutter screamed as it was yanked upward, fluorescent light from outside flooding the unit. Erica was blind, her eyes struggling to adjust. She heard Won-Jae move. Heard the sharp crack of gunfire. Someone screamed. Multiple someones. Erica's vision cleared enough to see 2 bodies on the ground. Won-Jae was already moving, his wounded shoulder forgotten. Pure instinct and training taking over. But there were more coming. She could hear them surrounding the building. Back door. Erica grabbed both car seats, adrenaline giving her impossible strength. There has to be a back door. Won-Jae fired twice more, covering their retreat. Erica found a rusted service entrance, kicked it open with more force than she knew she had. They spilled into an alley. Darkness and shadows and nowhere to run. A figure stepped out in front of them. Tall. Armed. Face covered by a black mask. Won-Jae raised his gun, but the stranger was faster. He fired, not at Won-Jae, but at the ground near his feet. A warning shot. Don't. The voice was muffled by the mask, but something about it made Erica's blood freeze. Please. Don't make me do this. Then don't, Won-Jae said coldly. Step aside. Let us pass. I can't. They'll kill my... The stranger's voice broke. They'll kill her. My sister. If I don't bring you in, they'll kill her. Erica's world tilted sideways. That voice. Older, rougher, but familiar in a way that made her chest constrict with horror and impossible hope. Dante. Her voice came out barely a whisper. The masked figure froze. Slowly, he reached up and pulled the mask off. Erica's brother stared back at her. 3 years older, harder, covered in scars she didn't recognize. But unmistakably Dante King. Erica? His gun wavered. What are you? Why are you? You were supposed to be in rehab. Erica heard her own voice from very far away. You said you were getting clean. You said. I lied. Dante's face twisted with shame and desperation. The Syndicate bought my debts. Gave me a choice. Work for them, or watch you die to pay what I owed. So you've been hunting us. Erica's shock was hardening into something cold and sharp. You've been trying to kill him. I'm trying to save you. Dante's voice cracked. Don't you get it? They own me now. They own everything I am. And if I don't deliver him, they'll start cutting pieces off you until I do. Won-Jae moved faster than Erica could track. One moment he was beside her, the next he had Dante against the wall, gun pressed to his temple. How many are here? Won-Jae's voice was ice. How many hunters? 12. Maybe 15. Dante wasn't fighting back. Please. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want my sister safe. By working for the people trying to kill her? Won-Jae's finger tightened on the trigger. By doing whatever it takes to keep her alive? Erica saw it. Saw the calculation in his eyes. Saw him decide that Dante was too dangerous to leave alive. Don't. Erica stepped forward, her hand closing around Won-Jae's wrist. Please. Don't. He will betray us again. Maybe. Erica looked at her brother, this stranger wearing Dante's face. But he's still my brother. And I need to know why. Won-Jae held her gaze for a long moment. Then, slowly, he lowered the gun. But he didn't step back. Didn't give Dante space to move. Talk, Erica said. Fast. Dante slumped against the wall, looking defeated. After Mom and Dad died, the debts didn't die with them. The hospital bills. The funeral costs. The mortgage on the house. It all fell to me. I didn't know how to handle it. So you borrowed from criminals. I borrowed from people who said they could help. Dante's laugh was bitter. They helped all right. Helped themselves to everything I had left. When I couldn't pay, they gave me options. Work for them, or watch them take everything from you. Your apartment. Your tuition. Your life. Why didn't you tell me? Erica's voice broke. Because you were already drowning. You'd just lost them too. You were working yourself to death trying to stay in school. What was I supposed to do? Add my failures to your pile. A sound from the far end of the alley cut off Erica's response. More footsteps. More hunters closing in. They're coming, Dante said quietly. I told them I'd bring you out the back. Deliver you to them. They're expecting. He never finished the sentence. Won-Jae moved with deadly precision, spinning Dante around and using him as a shield as the first wave of hunters rounded the corner. Gunfire erupted. Dante jerked in Won-Jae's grip, taking 2 rounds meant for them. No! Erica's scream was lost in the chaos. Won-Jae returned fire, his aim deadly even wounded. 3 hunters went down. 4. But there were too many. They were pinned down with nowhere to run. Dante slumped in Won-Jae's arms, blood spreading across his chest. His eyes found Erica's, filled with pain and regret and something that might have been relief. Run, Dante whispered. Erica, please. Run. Won-Jae was already moving, dragging Erica back toward the storage unit, toward any cover they could find. But Erica looked back, saw her brother collapse to the ground, saw the pool of blood spreading beneath him, saw him mouth words she couldn't hear. "I'm sorry." Then Won-Jae pulled her around a corner, and the world exploded into violence and chaos and the desperate mathematics of survival. They ran. They ran through the labyrinth of storage units, Won-Jae's arm an iron band around Erica's waist, half carrying her as she clutched both car seats against her heaving chest. The babies screamed, their wails echoing off the corrugated metal walls, a beacon for every hunter in the complex. Behind them, gunfire erupted in sharp, staccato bursts. Bullets pinged off aluminum siding, sending showers of sparks into the darkness. Erica's lungs burned like she had inhaled glass. Her arms felt like they were being ripped from their sockets, but she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Dante's blood was still warm on her hands. Won-Jae pulled her left, then right. His movements were instinctive despite his wounds. He knew how to navigate chaos, how to read the sounds of pursuit and adjust their trajectory on pure calculation. Erica just held on and trusted him. They burst out of the maze into an open lot. The van sat 50 yards away, bathed in harsh security lighting. Too far. Too exposed. "We won't make it," Erica gasped. "Yes, we will." Won-Jae's grip tightened. "On 3. Sprint. Don't look back." Erica counted her own heartbeats. 1, 2, 3. They ran. The world narrowed to the sound of her feet pounding the pavement, the weight of the babies threatening to pull her down, the electric awareness of Won-Jae beside her. She heard shouts behind them. More gunfire. A bullet struck the ground 6 inches from her foot, sending up a spray of asphalt. Then they were at the van. Won-Jae yanked the sliding door open, practically throwing Erica inside. She secured the car seats with shaking hands while he returned fire, his body shielding the open door. 3 shots. 4. A scream from somewhere in the darkness. He dove into the passenger seat. Drive. Erica's hands found the keys still in the ignition. She'd never removed them. The engine roared to life, and she floored it, the van fishtailing as they peeled out of the lot. In the rearview mirror, she saw figures emerging from the storage maze. Saw muzzle flashes. Heard the distinctive thunk-thunk of bullets hitting the van's rear panels. Then they were on the main road, merging into the sparse late-night traffic. Just another anonymous vehicle in New York's endless flow. Erica drove in silence for 20 minutes, taking random turns, doubling back, checking mirrors obsessively. Beside her, Won-Jae was checking his burner phone, his face illuminated by the screen's pale glow. "The safe house," Erica finally said. Her voice sounded wrong, hollow, scraped clean of emotion. "You said you had a safe house." "It's compromised." Won-Jae didn't look up. "Sang-woo just sent coordinates. A motel outside the city. He says it's clean. Can we trust him?" "No." Won-Jae locked the phone. "But we're out of options." Erica's hands tightened on the wheel. In the back seat, the twins had cried themselves into an exhausted sleep. She could hear their tiny, hitching breaths. Could smell the copper tang of blood, hers, Won-Jae's, Dante's, all mixed together in the enclosed space. "Dante," she whispered. "My brother." He hesitated. When he recognized me, he hesitated. He didn't want to shoot. He would have. Won-Jae's voice was flat. "Eventually. When the alternative was worse." "You don't know that. I know men like him. I have been men like him." He turned to look at her, his face half-shadowed by the passing streetlights. "Your brother sold his soul for a debt. Once you do that, Erica, there is no buying it back. You just become someone else's weapon until you break." Erica wanted to argue, wanted to defend the memory of the brother she used to know. But she'd seen the scars on his body, the hollowness in his eyes. Her brother had been gone long before tonight. What remained was just a ghost wearing his face. "I should have known," she said. "Should have seen." "Stop." Won-Jae's hand found hers on the gearshift. His fingers laced through hers, warm, solid, real. "You can't save people who don't want to be saved. Believe me. I have tried." They drove the rest of the way in silence. The Starlight Motel squatted on the edge of the highway like a forgotten wound. Neon flickered weakly, promising vacancy and color TV in letters that had probably been optimistic 20 years ago. Erica pulled into the lot, parking in the shadows between two semi-trucks. "Wait here." Won-Jae was out before she could protest, moving toward the office with the gun concealed under his jacket. Erica watched him go, her heart hammering. In the back seat, Aerie stirred, whimpering softly. Erica reached back, her fingers finding the baby's small hand. Aerie's grip tightened reflexively, and something in Erica's chest cracked open. These children had lost so much. Their mother, their home, their safety. And now they were sleeping in a bullet-riddled van outside a highway motel because the world wanted them dead. Won-Jae emerged from the office holding a key. Room 14. End unit. The room smelled like bleach and decades of cigarette smoke. 2 double beds with questionable sheets, a bathroom with rust stains in the tub, a window that looked out on the highway where trucks roared past every few minutes, making the thin walls shudder. Erica set the car seats on the first bed while Won-Jae checked the locks, the window, the adjoining door. His movements were mechanical, trained, but she could see the exhaustion in every line of his body. The way he favored his wounded shoulder. The gray cast to his skin. "You need to rest," she said. "I need to think." He sat on the edge of the second bed, the gun still in his hand. "Sang-woo wouldn't have sent us here without a reason. Either it is genuinely safe, or it is bait. Which do you think it is?" "Both." Won-Jae's smile was bitter. "Everything is both, Erica. Safety and trap. Ally and enemy. The only question is which kills you first." Erica moved to the bathroom, wet a threadbare towel with cold water, and brought it back to him. She knelt between his legs, dabbing at the blood crusted on his face, his neck. He let her, his eyes closing, his breathing evening out. "I killed him," Erica whispered. "My brother. I didn't pull the trigger, but I let you. You made a choice." Won-Jae's eyes opened. Dark and depthless. "Between the brother who sold you for his debts and the children who need you to survive? That is not murder, Erica. That is mathematics. It doesn't feel like mathematics." "No." His hand came up, cupping her jaw. His thumb traced her cheekbone, wiping away a tear she hadn't known she'd shed. "It feels like drowning. Like you can't breathe because the guilt is crushing your chest. Like you will never be clean again, no matter how hard you scrub." Erica stared at him. "How do you know?" "Because I have made that choice 1,000 times. His gaze held hers. "And every single time, I chose survival. Chose the people who mattered over the people who didn't. Your brother stopped mattering the moment he pointed a gun at you. That is the only truth that counts." The room was so quiet. Just the hum of the ancient air conditioner and the distant roar of the highway. Erica was still kneeling between his legs, her hands resting on his thighs, feeling the tension coiled in every muscle. "I'm not like you," she said softly. "No." Won-Jae's other hand joined the first, cradling her face like she was something precious. "Breakable. You are better. You haven't been ruined yet. Maybe I want to be ruined." The words hung between them, raw and honest. Won-Jae's breath hitched. His pupils dilated, black swallowing the dark brown of his irises. "Don't say that." His voice was rough, strained. "You don't know what you are asking for." "Then show me." Erica rose on her knees, bringing herself level with him. She could feel the heat radiating off his body. Could smell blood and gunpowder and something darker, more primal. Could see the war happening behind his eyes, the desire fighting against the last shreds of his self-control. "Erica." Her name was a warning. A prayer. She kissed him. It wasn't gentle. Wasn't tentative. She kissed him like she was drowning and he was air. Like she needed to prove to both of them that she was still alive, still capable of feeling something other than fear and grief. Won-Jae froze for half a heartbeat. Then he was kissing her back with a hunger that stole her breath. His hands slid from her face to her hair, fisting in the tangled curls. His mouth was hot and demanding, tasting like copper and desperation. Erica's world narrowed to sensation. The scrape of his stubble against her chin. The way his teeth caught her bottom lip. The sound he made, something between a growl and a groan. When her hands found bare skin beneath his ruined shirt, he pulled back suddenly, breathing hard. We can't. Why not? Because you deserve better than a blood-soaked motel room and a dying mob boss. What if I don't want better? Erica's hands were shaking as she reached for him again. What if I just want you? Right now. Before everything falls apart. Won-Jae stared at her like she'd spoken a language he'd forgotten existed. Then he was sitting on the edge of the bed, pulling her between his legs. Erica straddled his lap, careful of his injuries, taking control so he wouldn't have to strain his wounded shoulder. He turned, pressing her against the wall beside the bed. The impact sent sensation racing down her spine. His hands were everywhere, sliding under her shirt, mapping the curve of her ribs, the dip of her waist. She arched into his touch, desperate for more. For everything. Erica, he said her name against her throat, his lips tracing the pulse hammering there. If we do this, we do this. She pulled his face back to hers. No more talking. No more thinking. Just. A sharp knock on the door shattered the moment. They both froze. Won-Jae set Erica down carefully, his hand already reaching for the gun. 3 more knocks. Deliberate. Measured. Won-Jae. A woman's voice, muffled by the door. I know you're in there. We need to talk. Erica's blood turned to ice. That voice. Familiar in a way that made her stomach twist. Won-Jae's face had gone absolutely blank. Get in the bathroom. Take the twins. Lock the door. Don't come out until I say. Who is it? My dead wife. Erica stared at him, certain she'd misheard. But his expression was carved from stone. Whatever was on the other side of that door terrified him in a way bullets and blood never had. Erica grabbed both car seats, moving quickly and quietly to the bathroom. She locked the door, then pressed her ear against it, straining to hear. She heard Won-Jae cross the room. Heard the chain slide free. Heard the door open. Hello, darling. The woman's voice was silk and poison. Miss me? Erica couldn't see through the bathroom door, but she could hear everything. The click of expensive heels on cheap linoleum. The rustle of fabric. The way the air in the motel room changed, becoming heavier. Dangerous. You're supposed to be dead. Won-Jae's voice was emotionless, controlled. I got better. The woman, Park Seo-yeon, laughed. It was a beautiful sound. Aren't you going to invite me in properly? Or has living in squalor dulled your manners? What do you want? The same thing I've always wanted. Everything you have. Starting with what is inked on your skin. Erica's hands tightened on the edge of the sink. In the car seats beside her, both twins slept on, oblivious. She wanted to burst out of the bathroom, wanted to grab Won-Jae and run. But she stayed frozen, listening. The council thinks you're a hero, Seo-yeon continued. The devoted father who risked everything for his children. How touching. How noble. They have no idea what you really are. And what is that? Soft. The word dripped with contempt. You let sentiment cloud your judgment. You kept the boy when you should have eliminated him. You refused to expand into weapons trafficking. You turned down opportunities because they violated your precious code. A pause. You became weak, Won-Jae. And weakness is why I had to die. You faked your death to stage a coup. I orchestrated an evolution. Seo-yeon's voice moved closer. The Syndicate needs to adapt or perish. Your father understood that. He built an empire on blood and fear. You tried to build one on honor and restraint. Guess which one actually works? I'm not giving you the codes. I'm not asking, darling. Something metallic clicked. A gun being cocked. I'm taking. The question is whether I skin you alive, or just put a bullet in your skull and work on the corpse. Either way, you are not leaving this room. Erica's heart hammered so hard she thought it might burst through her ribs. She looked down at the twins, still sleeping peacefully. Looked at the flimsy bathroom door that wouldn't stop a determined child, much less armed killers. She'd promised Won-Jae she'd stay hidden. But if he died out there, they all died anyway. Erica's hands were shaking as she quietly opened the bathroom cabinet, searching for anything she could use as a weapon. Rusted scissors. A plunger. Nothing useful. Nothing. Her fingers closed around something hard and metallic behind the pipes. A pipe wrench, probably left by a maintenance worker and forgotten. It would have to do. Erica lifted the wrench, testing its weight. Then she unlocked the bathroom door as quietly as possible and eased it open a crack. The scene that greeted her made her breath stop. Park Seo-yeon was beautiful in a way that didn't look quite human. Sharp features, skin like porcelain, dressed in white that somehow remained pristine despite the dingy motel setting. She held a gun steady on Won-Jae, who stood with his hands raised, his wounded shoulder bleeding again through the bandages. Behind Seo-yeon, 2 men in tactical gear flanked the door. Professional. Armed. Watching Won-Jae with the dead-eyed focus of trained killers. Last chance, Seo-yeon said. Give me the access codes willingly, and I will make this quick. Refuse, and I will make you watch while I feed your bastard children into the New York River, piece by piece. Won-Jae's face didn't change expression, but Erica saw his hands clench into fists. Saw the muscle jump in his jaw. The boy isn't mine, he said quietly. Seo-yeon's perfect composure cracked slightly. What? Jiho? He is not my biological son. Won-Jae spoke slowly, each word measured. His father was my lieutenant, Dune. He died protecting me from an ambush 3 years ago. I took Jiho and raised him as my own. The children are not twins, Seo-yeon. They never were. Erica's mind reeled. She looked at the sleeping babies. Aeri and Jiho, who she'd assumed were identical twins. But now that she knew, she could see the subtle differences. Aeri's rounder face. Jiho's sharper chin. Different fathers. You adopted him. Seo-yeon's voice was flat with disbelief. You took in the orphan of a dead soldier and passed him off as your heir? Why? Because Dune asked me to with his dying breath. Because Jiho deserved better than the orphanage or the streets. Because it was the right thing to do. Won-Jae's voice was steady. Not that you would understand that. You're right. I don't. Seo-yeon raised the gun, centering it on Won-Jae's forehead. Which is why I am going to kill you now. Guards. Erica burst out of the bathroom with the wrench raised. She didn't think, didn't plan. She just moved with the same desperate instinct that had made her press her hands to Won-Jae's bleeding chest in that alley. She swung the wrench at the nearest guard's head with every ounce of strength she possessed. The impact sent shockwaves up her arms. The guard dropped like a stone. The second guard spun toward her, raising his weapon. But Won-Jae was already moving, grabbing Seo-yeon's gun hand and twisting. The shot went wide, punching through the motel room's ceiling. Plaster rained down. Erica swung the wrench again, catching the second guard across the temple. He staggered. She hit him again. And again. And again. Until he stopped moving. The silence that followed was deafening. Erica stood over the unconscious guards, breathing hard, the wrench slick with blood in her hands. Across the room, Won-Jae had Seo-yeon on her knees, his hand fisted in her perfect hair, her own gun pressed to her temple. You shouldn't have threatened my children, he said quietly. Seo-yeon laughed, even with death pressed against her skull. You can't kill me, darling. I am still your wife. Still protected by the old code. The old code died when you did. Won-Jae's finger tightened on the trigger. Wait. Erica's voice cut through the tension. Don't. Won-Jae's eyes snapped to hers. Erica, if you kill her, they will never stop hunting us. But if we let her go, if we have proof she broke the code first by threatening civilians. Erica gestured to herself, to the twins sleeping peacefully in the bathroom despite the gunshot. Then we have leverage. Evidence. Something to bargain with. Seo-yeon twisted in Won-Jae's grip, trying to see Erica properly. Who is this? The delivery girl? The nursing student you dragged into this mess? She is the woman who just saved my life. Won-Jae's voice was cold again. How charming. Seo-yeon's smile was venomous. Tell me, delivery girl, do you think he'll stay faithful to you longer than he stayed faithful to me? Or will you end up discarded like every other woman who thought she was special? Erica met the woman's gaze steadily. I don't need him to be faithful. I need him to be alive. Everything else is just details. Something flickered in Seo-yeon's eyes. Respect, maybe. Or calculation. Tie her up, Erica said. We're taking her with us. Won-Jae stared at Erica like she'd grown a second head. But he didn't argue. just pulled zip ties from one of the unconscious guards and bound Seo-yeon's wrists and ankles with brutal efficiency. They left the motel room in ruins. Erica carried both car seats while Won-Jae half-dragged, half-carried Seo-yeon to the van. They loaded everything in record time. Erica behind the wheel again. Won-Jae in the passenger seat with his gun trained on his supposedly dead wife in the back. "Where are we going?" Erica asked as she pulled out of the lot. "I don't know." For the first time since she'd met him, Won-Jae sounded lost. "Every safe house is compromised. Every ally is suspect. We're ghosts with nowhere to haunt." Erica's hands tightened on the wheel. In the back seat, Ji-ho started to cry. A thin, pained sound that made her chest constrict. "Something's wrong," she said. Won-Jae twisted in his seat. His face went ashen. "He's bleeding. Erica, he's bleeding." They found an abandoned gas station off a rural highway. Erica parked behind the building, out of sight of passing traffic. The fluorescent lights had long since died, leaving only moonlight to work by. She lifted Ji-ho from his car seat with shaking hands. Blood soaked through his onesie. Fresh, bright red. The bullet must have grazed him during the storage yard ambush. "We need a hospital," Erica said. "We need a miracle." Hospitals mean records. Records mean the council finds us. Finds them. Won-Jae was beside her, his face tight with fear. "Then he dies." Erica heard the edge of hysteria in her own voice. "Is that what you want? To watch him bleed out because you are too paranoid to?" "I'll do it." Seo-yeon's voice cut through their argument. Still bound, still dangerous. But her eyes were fixed on Ji-ho with something that might have been genuine concern. "Take my blood. I am O-negative. Universal donor." Erica and Won-Jae both turned to stare at her. "Why?" Won-Jae's voice was flat with suspicion. "Because I am not a monster." Seo-yeon's smile was bitter. "Not the kind who lets children die anyway. That is your department, darling." The accusation hung in the air. Erica looked between them, seeing years of history and hurt she couldn't begin to untangle. "Erica." Won-Jae's voice was quiet, leaving the decision to her. Erica looked at Ji-ho's pale face. Looked at the blood spreading across her hands. Made the only choice she could. Do it. They set up in the gas station's filthy bathroom, using Erica's jacket as a surface. She'd stolen an 4 kit from her clinical rotation months ago, kept it in her emergency supplies just in case. Now she thanked whatever instinct had made her hoard medical equipment like treasure. Seo-yeon sat with her bound hands extended, watching as Erica found the vein, inserted the needle, started the blood flow. The woman didn't flinch. Didn't complain. Just bled quietly while Erica worked to save a child she'd threatened to kill an hour earlier. "He's not yours," Seo-yeon said after a long silence. She was looking at Won-Jae, not Erica. "You said Ji-ho's father was Doon." "Yes." Doon was loyal. One of the few. Seo-yeon's voice was distant, remembering. "He would have died for you." "Did die for me." "Yes." "And you kept his son. Raised him as your own heir. Let the entire syndicate believe he was your blood." Seo-yeon laughed softly. "That is why they couldn't find leverage, isn't it? They ran DNA tests on Ji-ho expecting confirmation, but it didn't match. Made them think the whole family line was compromised. Made them move against you." Won-Jae said nothing. But Erica saw the truth in his silence. "You are an idiot," Seo-yeon said. "A sentimental, honorable idiot. Doon's son should have been set up quietly in another country. Instead, you kept him close. Made him a target. He is my son." Won-Jae's voice was steel. "Biology doesn't change that." "No." Seo-yeon's gaze shifted to Erica. "But it changes everything else. The council will never accept Ji-ho as heir now. They'll kill him to ensure bloodline purity. Unless what?" Erica demanded. "Unless someone with actual claim to leadership steps forward." Seo-yeon's smile was sharp. "Someone with authority. Someone who can challenge the old code and win." Erica's hand stilled on the 4-line. "You are saying you would." "I'm saying I didn't fake my death and orchestrate a coup for nothing." Seo-yeon's eyes glittered in the dim light. "I wanted power, yes. But I also wanted evolution. Wanted to drag the Syndicate out of the Stone Age and into the modern world. Your darling husband stood in the way of that. But you." She looked at Erica with something like approval. You are not bound by tradition. Not limited by the old code. You could actually change things. I'm a delivery driver, Erica said flatly. I'm nobody. You are the woman who saved the heir. Who keeps him alive despite impossible odds. Seo-yeon leaned forward. In the old stories, that makes you the queen. Whether you want the crown or not. Before Erica could respond, Ji-ho made a small sound. Not quite a cry, more like a sigh. His color was improving, the blood flow stabilizing. Erica finished the transfusion with steady hands, disconnected the line, bandaged both Seo-yeon and Ji-ho with the last of her supplies. He'll live, she said quietly. Won-Jae's exhale was shaky. He lifted Ji-ho carefully, cradling the baby against his chest with infinite gentleness. The big, dangerous mob boss reduced to a terrified father holding his child. Erica's phone, the new burner Won-Jae had bought at the gas station, buzzed. Unknown number, she answered. Hello, Erica. Sang-woo's voice. I've been trying to reach the boss. Where are you? Somewhere safe. What do you want? I have news. The council is meeting tomorrow night. Emergency session. They are voting on succession. A pause. If Won-Jae doesn't show, they will declare him dead and divide his territory. Everything he built will be gone. Erica looked at Won-Jae. Saw the exhaustion in his eyes. The way he held Ji-ho like the baby was the only thing keeping him anchored to the world. Where is the meeting? She asked. Sang-woo gave her an address. A warehouse in the industrial district. Full circle. Back to where it all began. There is one more thing, Sang-woo said. His voice went soft, almost apologetic. They are offering a bounty. 2 million for proof of death. 3 million for delivery alive. Every hunter in 3 states is converging on New York. You have maybe 6 hours before someone finds you. The line went dead. Erica stared at the phone, her mind racing. 6 hours. $2 million. Every criminal, mercenary, and desperate fool with a gun would be hunting them. We need to split up, Won-Jae said. He'd heard the whole conversation. You take the twins. I will lead the hunters away. No. Erica's voice was firm. We go together. We end this together. Erica. I am done running. She met his gaze steadily. We go to that meeting. We face the council. We finish this. They will kill you. Maybe. Erica smiled grimly. But at least I'll die doing something that matters. Won-Jae stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded once, accepting her choice the same way she'd accepted his from the beginning. They drove through the night, heading back toward the city. Seo-yeon dozed in the back, still bound but no longer struggling. The twins slept peacefully, unaware of the storm waiting ahead. Erica's hands were steady on the wheel. Her mind was clear for the first time in days. She was done being afraid. Done being small. If the council wanted a queen, she'd give them one. Even if it killed her. Before coming here, they'd made a single stop. Erica's old apartment building. Miss Hattie from Tubi had taken one look at the babies and pulled them inside without a word. Erica left a gun on the counter and whispered, anyone tries that door, you shoot. The warehouse where Erica had found Won-Jae dying felt different now. Familiar. Almost like coming home. The same loading dock. The same shadows. But this time, they walked in through the front door. The council was already assembled. 12 men in expensive suits seated around a long table that looked absurdly formal in the industrial setting. They all turned to stare as Won-Jae entered with Erica at his side, Seo-yeon bound and gagged behind them. Won-Jae. The eldest council member stood. You are alive. Disappointed? Won-Jae's voice was cold. Relieved. The old man's gaze shifted to Erica, then to Seo-yeon. Though I see you have brought interesting company. The delivery girl who started this mess, and a ghost we thought we'd buried months ago. Seo-yeon faked her death, Erica said before Won-Jae could speak. She orchestrated the coup. Hired the hunters. Poisoned the formula meant for the children. She violated every code the Syndicate holds sacred. Serious accusations. Another council member leaned forward. Do you have proof? Erica pulled out the phone, the one she'd taken from Seo-yeon's pocket during the struggle. She'd spent the drive hacking into it, her 1 semester of computer science finally paying off. She projected the contents onto the warehouse wall. Messages. Financial transactions. Kill orders. Everything laid out in damning detail. The council studied the evidence in silence. When they finally spoke, their voices were cold with rage. The penalty for oath-breaking is death. The eldest member looked at Seo-yeon without emotion. Immediate and absolute. Wait. Erica's voice rang out. That's not why we are here. Every eye in the room turned to her. We are not here to punish Seo-yeon, Erica continued. We are here to end the old code. To build something better. Something that doesn't eat its own children. Bold words from a civilian. One of the younger council members sneered. You have no standing here, girl. No voice. No. She is standing. Won-Jae's voice cut through the room like a blade. She saved my life. Saved my children. She has more honor than anyone at this table. Honor doesn't grant council position. The old man's voice was tired. You know the law, Won-Jae. She is a witness. And witnesses are liabilities. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. You want her dead? Won-Jae said it flatly. Not a question. We want loose ends tied. Civilians eliminated. Business secured. The old man spread his hands. It is nothing personal. It is simply how things are done. Won-Jae moved faster than Erica could track. The gun appeared in his hand. 3 shots rang out. 3 council members dropped, blood spreading across their expensive suits. The room erupted into chaos. Men reached for weapons, shouted threats. But Won-Jae stood with the gun steady, his face carved from stone. New rule, he said into the shocked silence. The woman lives. Anyone who argues dies. Won-Jae gestured to the back of the room where Sang-woo, who had followed them in, stood waiting. Get Seo-yeon out of here. The feds are waiting at the rendezvous point. She is their problem now. You are declaring war, the old man's voice shook. Against your own council? Against tradition? No. Won-Jae lowered the gun slowly. I am declaring evolution. The old code dies here. Tonight. We build something new, or we burn it all down. Your choice. Erica stepped forward, placing herself between Won-Jae and the council. She was terrified, but she'd been terrified for days now. Terror was just another state of being. You need leadership, she said. Someone who understands the old ways, but isn't bound by them. Someone who can negotiate with law enforcement, with legitimate businesses, with the modern world. And you think that is you? The sneer was back in the younger member's voice. No. Erica smiled. I think that is us. Won-Jae knows the business. I know how to keep people alive. Together, we are evolution. Separately, you are just waiting for the next coup to destroy what's left. The council members looked at each other. The math was simple. They'd already lost 3 members. Won-Jae had proven he'd burn down the entire organization before letting Erica die. And Seo-yeon's betrayal had shown how fragile the old system really was. Finally, the old man spoke. What are you proposing? A partnership. Won-Jae runs operations. I handle external relations and civilian protection. Erica's voice was steady. We modernize. We diversify. We stop running the syndicate like it is still 1950. And if we refuse? Erica looked at Won-Jae. Saw the answer in his eyes. Then you die, she said simply. And we start over with people who understand what century we are living in. The silence stretched. Erica's heart hammered so hard she thought everyone could hear it. This was the moment. Accept or die. Evolution or extinction. The old man laughed. It was a rough, genuine sound. Doon would have liked you. Erica blinked. What? Jiho's father. Doon. He always said the syndicate needed fresh blood. Someone who understood both worlds. The old man stood slowly, painfully. He would have approved of this madness. He extended his hand. Erica stared at it for a long moment. Then she reached out and shook. His grip was firm despite his age. Welcome to the council, Erica Hale. Try not to get us all killed. 3 months later. Erica stood in the penthouse overlooking New York's skyline. The view was better than her old studio apartment. Hell, the bathroom was bigger than her old studio apartment. Aeri and Jiho were in the nursery, protected by security that made Fort Knox look casual. They were growing fast. Aeri had learned to laugh. Jiho had figured out how to grab his own toes. Normal baby things in an abnormal world. You're thinking too loud. Won-Jae's arms wrapped around her from behind. His shoulder had healed. The tattoos still covered his skin, all those coordinates and codes and secrets. But now she knew how to read them. How to protect them. I'm thinking about delivery orders, Erica admitted. About how one fake sushi order changed everything. Regrets? No. She turned in his arms, rising on her toes to kiss him. Not one. It wasn't a fairy tale. The Syndicate still had enemies. The Council still tested boundaries. Seo-yeon was in a secure facility, being slowly rehabilitated or destroyed. Erica wasn't sure which was happening and wasn't sure she cared. But Erica was no longer the girl drowning in debt and grief. She was someone else now. Someone harder. Someone who'd held a dying man and refused to let him go. Someone who'd beaten assassins with a pipe wrench and stared down mob bosses without blinking. Someone who'd become a queen without ever wanting the crown. The twins are asking for you, Won-Jae said against her hair. Which one? Airi just threw her bottle at the nanny again. Erica laughed. Coming. She took his hand. The same hand that had held a gun to her chest in a blood-soaked alley. The same hand that now held their family together. Outside, New York glittered in the darkness. Somewhere out there, delivery drivers navigated the night. Somewhere out there, desperate people made impossible choices. But here, in this moment, Erica Hale had everything she needed. And she hadn't even had to deliver any sushi to get it. What an ending! From a sushi delivery to ruling the underworld, Erica really is the queen of reinvention. If you loved this Afro-Korean soul tale as much as I did, make sure you smash that subscribe button right now. Leave a comment telling me which scene made your heart race the fastest, and like this video if you want to see more stories where love conquers fear. This is Afro-Korean Soul Tales signing off. See you in the next story.